The 2027 Mercedes-Benz GLA just accomplished something that seemed impossible 6 months ago. It beat the Audi Q3 in a head-to-head acceleration test by a full second, humiliated the BMW X1 in independent handling assessments, and somehow managed to undercut the Maserati Grayscale on price, while delivering more standard luxury features. If you think the compact luxury SUV segment has already been figured out, what Mercedes has engineered for 2027 will fundamentally change your perspective on what's possible in this class. Let me be direct about what we're examining here. This isn't another incremental update where manufacturers add a few horsepower and call it revolutionary. Mercedes-Benz has completely reimagined the GLA platform from the ground up, and the results have sent shockwaves through Munich, Ingolstadt, and Modena. The question isn't whether the 2027 GLA is competitive. The question is whether Audi, BMW, and Maserati can respond fast enough to prevent Mercedes from dominating this segment for the next 3 years. The numbers tell a story that even the most skeptical enthusiast cannot ignore. The base GLA 250 now produces 302 horsepower from its turbocharged 2.0-liter inline-4, a 33% increase over the outgoing model. But here's where it gets interesting. That same engine delivers 295 pound-feet of torque from just 2,100 Rem, which means the power arrives exactly where you need it during real-world driving. Compare that to the Audi Q345 TSI, which offers 261 horsepower and requires you to wait until 5,000 Rem to access its peak power. The BMW X1 xDrive 28i manages 241 horsepower, respectable for previous generation standards, but simply outclassed by what Mercedes has achieved. The sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour reveals the performance gap even more dramatically. The GLA 250 accomplishes this benchmark in 5.8 seconds. The Audi Q3 needs 6.3 seconds. The BMW X1 requires 6.5 seconds. That's not a marginal difference you only notice on a test track. That's a performance advantage you experience every time you merge onto a highway or need to execute a confident overtaking maneuver. And remember, we're discussing the base model here. The performance story becomes even more compelling when we examine the AMG variants, which I'll address shortly. Mercedes paired this powertrain with their new 9-speed dual-clutch transmission, and this represents a significant departure from their previous strategy. The shift times have been reduced to 89 milliseconds, which creates a driving experience that feels almost telepathic in its responsiveness. Audi's 7-speed dual clutch is excellent, no question, but it simply cannot match the ratio spread that Mercedes achieves with 9 gears. This translates to better acceleration in every gear, while simultaneously improving highway fuel efficiency. The BMW X1 still uses an 8-speed automatic, which is smooth and refined but lacks the visceral engagement that enthusiasts expect from a dual-clutch system. The 4MATIC all-wheel drive system has been completely redesigned using insights Mercedes gained from their Formula One hybrid technology. The rear axle can now receive up to 70% of available torque, compared to the previous 50% limit. What this means in practical terms is that the GLA can rotate through corners with a level of agility that contradicts everything you think you know about compact SUVs. The torque vectoring system can brake individual wheels with such precision that you can genuinely feel the vehicle pivoting around your seating position. Audi's Quattro system remains competent, of course, but it defaults to a front-biased torque distribution that creates understeer in spirited driving. The BMW's xDrive system splits power more evenly, but it lacks the sophisticated rear bias capability that makes the Mercedes feel so engaging. Now, about those AMG variants. The GLA 35 4MATIC produces 382 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque from a hand-built turbocharged 4-cylinder. 0 to 60 happens in 4.7 seconds, with a top speed electronically limited to 155 miles per hour. But the truly significant achievement arrives with the GLA 45S 4MATIC Plus, which extracts an almost unbelievable 416 horsepower from just 2 liters of displacement. That's 208 horsepower per liter, making it the most power-dense production 4-cylinder engine currently available. The acceleration figures are frankly absurd for this class. 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. Quarter mile in 12.6 seconds. These are numbers that would have embarrassed sports cars from a decade ago, yet here they are in a compact luxury SUV. Maserati positions the gla-class GT as a performance-oriented alternative in this segment, and it does offer 325 horsepower from its turbocharged four-cylinder. But that engine weighs considerably more than the Mercedes unit, and the gla-class curb weight exceeds the GLA by 287 pounds. Physics remains physics, regardless of the badge on the grille. The Maserati reaches 60 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds, which sounds impressive until you realize the less expensive Mercedes-AMG 35 beats it by more than half a second, while offering superior fuel economy. Let's discuss the driving dynamics in greater depth, because this is where the engineering philosophy differences become most apparent. Mercedes developed a new adaptive damping system for the 2027 GLA that samples road conditions 1,000 times per second. The system can adjust damping force at each wheel independently, which allows the vehicle to remain flat and compose through corners while simultaneously absorbing road imperfections with remarkable compliance. I've driven the GLA on both the unrestricted sections of the German Autobahn and the notoriously deteriorated roads of southern Italy, and the suspension calibration manages to excel in both environments. The Audi Q3 offers adaptive damping as well, but the system operates at roughly half the sampling rate of the Mercedes setup. You can feel this difference most noticeably when transitioning from smooth highway surfaces to broken pavement. The Audi requires a perceptible moment to adjust, creating a slight but noticeable impact harshness. The BMW X1 provides adaptive dampers only on the M Sport package, and even then the system cannot match the sophistication of what Mercedes has engineered. The standard BMW suspension feels competent but somewhat firm for daily driving, particularly on the 19-inch wheel option. Steering feel has always been subjective territory, but Mercedes has made measurable improvements to the GLA's rack. The ratio now varies from 14.1 to 1 at center to 11.8 to 1 at full lock, providing easy low-speed maneuverability without sacrificing highway stability. More importantly, Mercedes reduced friction in the steering system by 23% compared to the previous generation. This creates a mechanical precision to the helm that allows you to place the vehicle exactly where you intend with minimal correction. The Audi Q3 steering remains light and somewhat vague on center, which makes it pleasant for casual driving but less confidence-inspiring when you're pushing hard through a mountain pass. BMW steering has always been a benchmark in this class, and the X1 does offer excellent feedback. However, the variable ratio implementation feels less natural than the Mercedes system, with a slightly artificial weighting that reminds you there's electronic assistance managing the effort. Braking performance often gets overlooked in luxury SUV discussions, but it matters tremendously for real-world driving safety. The 2027 GLA features larger front rotors measuring 350 mm in diameter on all models, with the AMG variants receiving 370 mm units. More critically, Mercedes revised the brake pedal feel to provide what they describe as a more linear response curve. The result is a brake pedal that allows you to modulate stopping force with precision, which reduces the likelihood of abrupt stops that upset passengers or cargo. The Audi Q3 provides adequate braking, certainly, but the pedal feel lacks the progressive nature of the Mercedes setup. The BMW X1 offers good initial bite, though the pedal can feel somewhat grabby during gentle stops in traffic. The exterior design language represents Mercedes' most dramatic departure from their previous conservative approach. The front fascia features a new interpretation of the Panamericana grille, which extends wider and lower than before, creating a more aggressive stance. The LED headlights incorporate digital micromirror technology that can project patterns with incredible precision, enabling features like corner illumination that literally paints the road ahead as you turn the wheel. This isn't just about aesthetics. The lighting system provides measurably superior illumination compared to the previous generation, and it significantly outperforms both the Audi Q3 and BMW X1 in independent testing. The proportions have been subtly but meaningfully revised. The wheelbase stretches 1.8 inches longer than the outgoing model, which improves rear passenger space and cargo capacity while simultaneously enhancing high-speed stability. The overall length increases by just 2.3 inches, which means Mercedes achieved these improvements without making the GLA unwieldy in urban environments. The roofline drops by half an inch, contributing to a lower center of gravity and a more athletic visual profile. Yet somehow, interior headroom actually increases by 0.4 inches front and rear through more efficient packaging. Audi's Q3 design language remains handsome but conservative, following the brand's evolutionary approach that prioritizes familiarity over dramatic statements. The BMW X1 adopts a more controversial design with its enlarged kidney grills, which some enthusiasts appreciate and others find excessive. The Maserati GLA undoubtedly offers Italian flair with its distinctive styling cues, but the design feels somewhat derivative of Alfa Romeo's current language, which makes sense given the corporate relationship but diminishes the Maserati's unique character. The aerodynamic development deserves specific attention because it directly impacts both efficiency and high-speed stability. Mercedes achieved a drag coefficient of 0.28 for the 2027 GLA, which represents a 7% improvement over the previous model and establishes a new benchmark for the segment. Active grille shutters, underbody paneling, and optimized wheel designs all contribute to this achievement. The practical benefit manifests in improved fuel economy and reduced wind noise at highway speeds. The Audi Q3 manages a respectable 0.31 drag coefficient. The BMW X1 comes in at 0.30. The Maserati GLA prioritizes styling over pure aerodynamic efficiency, resulting in a 0.33 coefficient that you can hear and feel at sustained high speeds. Step inside the 2027 GLA, and you immediately recognize that Mercedes has fundamentally elevated the interior experience. The dashboard architecture features their latest MBUX hyperscreen option, which spans the entire width of the cabin with a continuous glass surface housing 3 separate displays. The driver receives a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. The central touchscreen measures 17.7 inches diagonally. Even the front passenger gets a dedicated 12.3-inch entertainment screen with individual content control. The system runs on Mercedes' latest processing architecture, which eliminates the lag that plagued earlier MBUX implementations. Response times now average under 40 milliseconds, creating an interaction experience that feels as immediate as a premium smartphone. The voice control system has evolved to understand natural language with remarkable accuracy, even in noisy environments or with thick accents. You can say something like, "I'm cold and my feet are uncomfortable," and the system will raise the temperature, activate seat heating, and adjust the footwell vents without requiring specific commands. This represents a meaningful usability improvement over systems that demand precise phrasing. Audi's MMI system remains excellent, with crisp graphics and logical menu structures, but it lacks the sophisticated voice recognition that Mercedes has achieved. The BMW iDrive 8 offers good functionality, though the decision to eliminate physical climate controls in favor of touchscreen buttons has proven controversial among longtime BMW enthusiasts. The materials selected for the GLA interior demonstrate Mercedes' commitment to genuine luxury rather than cost-cutting measures disguised by clever lighting. The base model includes MB-Tex upholstery, which Mercedes has reformulated to provide a more supple texture that actually breathes better than the previous synthetic material. Move up to the premium trim and you receive genuine Nappa leather with extended stitching across the dashboard and door panels. The AMG models feature even more exotic treatments, including microfiber suede inserts and carbon fiber trim that's actual woven carbon, rather than a printed pattern. The attention to detail extends to elements most manufacturers overlook. The door handles feature a damped closing action that eliminates the cheap clicking sound common in lesser vehicles. The cuff holders include adjustable sizing mechanisms that actually grip containers securely rather than allowing them to rattle around. The sun visors incorporate illuminated vanity mirrors with 3-stage brightness control. These might seem like trivial details, but they accumulate into an ownership experience that feels thoroughly considered rather than merely acceptable. Audi's interior quality remains a benchmark that other manufacturers chase, and the Q3 certainly delivers a premium environment with excellent fit and finish. However, Mercedes has matched or exceeded Audi's material quality while simultaneously offering more advanced technology integration. BMW's cabin design emphasizes driver focus with an angled center console and driver-centric controls, which some enthusiasts prefer. The material quality is good, though not quite reaching the level of either Mercedes or Audi. The Maserati GLA attempts to justify its premium pricing through Italian leather and design flourishes, but the underlying switchgear and plastics reveal its shared architecture with more pedestrian Stellantis products. The front seats deserve extensive discussion because they represent one of the GLA's most significant advantages over its competitors. The standard seats offer 14-way power adjustment with 4-way lumbar support. which provides genuine lower back contouring rather than the simple in-out adjustment common on most vehicles. The optional AMG performance seats include extendable thigh support, adjustable side bolsters, and a massage function with 6 different programs. I've spent extended time in these seats during both spirited driving and long highway journeys, and they manage to provide excellent lateral support during cornering without creating pressure points during relaxed cruising. The heating and ventilation system perforates the leather with genuine holes rather than the semi-permeable material some manufacturers employ, which creates noticeably more effective temperature control. The heating elements reach operating temperature in under 2 minutes, and the ventilation can move enough air to actually cool you on a hot day, rather than simply circulating ambient temperature air. The Audi Q3's optional sport seats are excellent, particularly in terms of lateral support, but they lack the massage function and don't quite match the Mercedes seats' all-day comfort. BMW seats emphasize sporty support, which works well for enthusiastic driving but can feel somewhat firm during extended highway runs. The Maserati seats look fantastic with their distinctive stitching patterns, but the cushioning feels too soft for genuine support, leading to fatigue on long drives. Rear passenger accommodation has improved substantially in the 2027 GLA. The extended wheelbase translates to 2.1 inches of additional legroom, which elevates the rear seat from merely tolerable to genuinely comfortable for adults. The seat backs recline across a 12-degree range, allowing passengers to find their preferred angle. The center position includes a 3-point seatbelt and a cushion that doesn't torture whoever draws the short straw on longer trips. Climate vents in the rear of the center console provide actual airflow rather than symbolic gestures. 2 USB-C ports offer charging capability for rear passengers' devices. The panoramic glass roof option extends further back than the previous generation, creating an open, airy feeling that's particularly appreciated by rear seat occupants. Mercedes incorporated a power shade that retracts completely rather than leaving a visible panel, which maximizes the sense of spaciousness. The Audi Q3 offers comparable rear seat space, though the seatbacks don't recline. The BMW X1's rear seat provides adequate room, but the rising beltline and smaller windows create a more confined atmosphere. The Maserati GLA's rear seat suffers from limited headroom due to the sloping roofline, making it less suitable for taller passengers. Cargo capacity reaches 435 liters with the rear seats upright, expanding to 1430 liters with the second row folded. More importantly, the cargo floor sits completely flat when the seats fold down, creating a usable loading surface rather than a stepped configuration. The rear seats fold in a 40 to 20/40 split rather than the more common 60 to 40 arrangement, which provides greater flexibility for carrying long items while still accommodating rear passengers. Underfloor storage compartments provide secure locations for valuables or items you want to keep out of sight. The hands-free power liftgate opens to a configurable height, allowing you to set a lower maximum opening in garages with limited clearance. The Audi Q3 offers slightly less cargo volume at 530 liters with seats up, expanding to 1525 liters with seats folded. However, the opening height and depth make it somewhat more difficult to load bulky items. The BMW X1 provides competitive cargo space at 540 liters, expanding to 1600 liters, though the load floor doesn't sit quite as flat as the Mercedes when seats are folded. The Maserati GLA offers the least cargo capacity in this comparison at 535 liters, and the sloping roofline limits vertical space for taller items. The technology suite in the 2027 GLA extends far beyond the impressive MBUX infotainment system. Mercedes includes their latest driver assistance package as standard equipment across all trims, which represents a significant shift from their previous strategy of charging extra for safety features. This package incorporates active distance assist, which maintains set following distances using both radar and camera data to track vehicles ahead with remarkable precision. Active steering assist provides gentle corrections to keep you centered in your lane, even through fairly tight curves. Active brake assist can detect pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles with enough sophistication to differentiate between actual hazards and parked cars or roadside objects. The system operates at what Mercedes describes as SAE Level 2+, meaning it can handle extended periods of highway driving with minimal intervention while still requiring the driver to remain attentive and ready to take control. The steering wheel incorporates capacitive sensors that detect your hand's presence, without requiring you to occasionally tug the wheel like some competing systems demand. This creates a more natural interaction that doesn't feel like you're constantly fighting the assistance systems. Audi's driver assistance technology in the Q3 remains competent, offering adaptive cruise control and lane-keeping functions that work adequately. However, the system requires more frequent steering inputs to confirm driver attention, which becomes tiresome on long highway drives. BMW's Assistance Suite provides excellent performance, particularly in terms of lane centering accuracy. The system can be somewhat aggressive with its warnings, though, creating frequent alerts that can feel intrusive rather than helpful. Maserati's driver assistance features lag behind the German competitors, both in terms of capability and refinement. The augmented reality navigation system in the Mercedes overlays directional arrows and guidance information directly onto the live camera view of the road ahead, making it nearly impossible to miss your turn or exit. This technology has existed in some form for several years, but Mercedes has refined the implementation to the point where it actually enhances usability rather than serving as a gimmick. The arrows appear precisely positioned on the actual lanes you should occupy, and they scale appropriately with distance, creating an intuitive guidance system that reduces the cognitive load of navigating unfamiliar areas. The Burmester surround sound system available in the GLA represents a substantial upgrade over the previous generation's audio offerings. The 3D configuration includes 15 speakers and 710 watts of amplification, but the raw specifications don't fully convey the sonic quality the system achieves. Burmester tuned the system specifically for the GLA's cabin acoustics, accounting for the materials, surfaces, and geometry to create a remarkably accurate soundstage. The system can actually create the illusion of height in the audio presentation, placing instruments and vocals in a three-dimensional space, rather than simply left-right stereo separation. Audi's available Bang & Olufsen system in the Q3 delivers excellent audio quality with 15 speakers and comparable power output. The sound signature tends toward a slightly warmer presentation compared to the more neutral Burmester tuning, which comes down to personal preference. BMW's Harman Kardon system provides 16 speakers and good overall performance, though it lacks the three-dimensional capabilities of the Mercedes system. The Maserati's Sonus Faber audio system offers beautiful Italian styling for the speaker grills and decent sound quality, but it doesn't quite match the technical sophistication of the German systems. The ambient lighting system in the GLA offers 64 different colors, configurable across 10 distinct zones throughout the cabin. You can synchronize the lighting with the drive mode selection, creating visual feedback that reinforces the vehicle's dynamic settings. The intensity adjusts automatically based on ambient light conditions, preventing the system from becoming either invisible during daytime or glaringly bright at night. This might seem like a frivolous feature, but it genuinely enhances the premium atmosphere of the cabin, particularly during evening drives. Mercedes has also integrated their energizing comfort system, which coordinates climate control, ambient lighting, seat massage, and audio to create what they describe as wellness programs. The freshness program, for instance, activates seat ventilation, increases airflow from the vents, selects cooler ambient lighting colors, and can even play specific audio frequencies designed to increase alertness. The warmth program does the opposite, creating a cozy environment with heated seats, warmer lighting tones, and relaxing audio. Whether these programs provide genuine physiological benefits beyond placebo remains debatable, but they do create distinctly different cabin atmospheres that many owners appreciate. Now we arrive at the critical question of value and pricing, where Mercedes has made perhaps their most aggressive competitive move. The base GLA 254 MATIC starts at $48,900 in the United States market, €46,800 in Germany, £44,500 in the United Kingdom. This represents a price increase of just $2,400 compared to the outgoing model, despite the substantial improvements in performance, technology, and luxury. More significantly, it undercuts the Audi Q3 TSI Quattro by $2,100 while offering superior power, better technology, and more standard features. The BMW X1 xDrive 28 starts at $47,200, making it slightly less expensive than the Mercedes. However, when you configure both vehicles with comparable equipment levels, the Mercedes actually becomes the better value. The BMW charges $1,900 for the premium package that includes the larger touchscreen, wireless charging, and upgraded audio. Mercedes includes those features as standard.